The one to be on as we mark your card on the weekend's racing.
This is Blazing Saddles on Sky Sports News Radio.
It may be deepest January, but we're talking classics here on Blazing Saddles as the Classic Chase at Warwick heads to Weekend Fair.
It's a tremendous front-running round from him, wasn't it? And he's going to cross the line with plenty more to give. Strongbow's Legend is home, wins really well.
But warmer climes may well be on your mind as we consider a trip to Kempton Park via Lanzarote.
James Devassi getting a bit tired, driven home by Will Kennedy, will last. It's James Devassi for the Lanzarote Organiser, turn Palomar tight for second.
Stay with us as we'll be speaking to leading trainers Colin Tizard, Charlie Mann and Richard Newland. That's coming up on this week's Blazing Saddles. Hello and welcome to the show. My name is Ian Brindle. I'm delighted to say that joining me in the studio this week are Noel Pinder and John Ivan Duke. The feature race of our weekend is the Betfred Classic Chase at Warwick. Stage over 3 miles 5. This race has traditionally been thought of as a trial for the Grand National and was won last year by the Alan King trained West End Rocker.
West End Rocker all out from a rallying Manila Boys. West End Rocker holding on. A second classic for Alan King. West End Rocker beats Manila Boys.
Well, 14 entries attracted this year, Noel, and Alan's represented by Blazing Bailey. He's a horse that was near top class over hurdles, but his form of offences has been somewhat patchy.
Yes, he reached a mark of 163 over hurdles, taking on the likes of Big Bucks to name just one. But he has managed 3 wins over fences. The best was probably at Fosslas back in February. He's shown nothing, though, in 2 starts this season, which, well, I think he's got a lot to prove in this race today.
The top weight for the race is the Colin Tizard trained Hello Big Spender. He was an impressive winner of the rehearsal chase at Newcastle.
Hey Big Spender in front to the Hollingwell, who's rushing at him hard, kept going all the way to the post. Hey Big Spender has won it to the Hollingwell in second. Ashfield's Dream, then Captain Americo, Manila Theatre was next.
He fell in the Welsh National at Chepstow, but Colin is confident that he's over that incident.
He fell just down the back. He was moving into contention, going sweetly. So he didn't have a hard race. He's come out of the race fine. Although he's given a lot of weight away, he's always been best. Nearly all the races he's ever won has been when he's been top weight. And he's a big, strong horse. The weight won't stop him. We don't know if he stays 3-6, but he stayed 3-3 at Cheltenham, staying on, so I'm sure he will.
John, no easy task for him trying to defend top weight against his rivals.
No, not at all, Ian. A very difficult task, particularly as it's going to be a stamina testing race. Clearly has a few question marks about the trip. I thought he looked ideally suited by perhaps 3 miles on good to soft ground, but the trainer does have a 20% record at the track in recent seasons to a level stakes profit of £23.50. The bigger concern for me about Hey Big Spender is that the horse hasn't completed in 5 of his 16 starts over fences. There's lots of question marks here, Ian.
Well, another horse to run in the Welsh National was Bench Warrant. He was 4th in the Chepstow Marathon, and I caught up with trainer Charlie Mann a little earlier to ask him how he'd come out of the race.
He's come out of it really well, yeah. He's a tough horse, and you'd think it would have taken a bit out in the race, but it hasn't, or it doesn't seem to have done. But he seems in very good form himself. He likes the trip. The kid gets on well with him, Gavin Sheehan, and he can take £10 off, so he's basically £5 well in, so... He's one of these horses, he stays all day and he likes a bit of cut on the ground. We could have done a bit more rain than we're going to get, but it'll be dead ground tomorrow, so it'll suit horses that stay, I think. So he should have a decent chance, yeah.
No, this is a horse that I've got a little bit of a soft spot for. Do you have much regard for him?
Well, it's quite lightly raced for a 9-year-old, just 20 runs under rules, 2 victories, and he has been thereabouts on numerous occasions. 4th in the Welsh National was a decent enough effort, been quite a long way, but he has been dropped a further £5, so certainly on his best form, he would have a squeak in this race.
David Pipe has 2 runners in the race, Farzell and Sonna Sasta, and Hayden Frost is on the latter of those. He was aboard when the horse ran in the Paddy Power at Leopardstown, and he's confident of a big run.
He ran well and stayed well, jumped well, so fingers crossed he can do the same again.
He has run in the 4-miler at Cheltenham previously, so staying the trip on Saturday shouldn't really be a problem.
No, exactly. He should stay the trip very well, and he seems to be crying out for it. So it's always a competitive handicap. So anything can happen, really, can't it?
In terms of your rivals at the moment, Neptune Equesta looks to be just about the bookmaker's favourite. Would you share that opinion? He probably is the one to beat?
Yeah, I think so. But I have £4 in my favour, so hopefully there can be a big £4.
John, David Pipe's yard seems to have undergone something of a resurgence of late. I guess it's like the old days with the name of Pipe alongside some big Saturday winners.
Yeah, for sure. I think a big part of that's having top horses in your yard. It's the most important thing for a trainer, and you've got to give great credit to the owners to have renewed faith in the Pipe setup. Out of the two in this race, I think Sonasasta looks the better of the two David Pipe runners. The horse is still very lightly raced for a 9-year-old. I think could potentially be a Grand National horse. Roger Brookhouse bought the horse after seeing a DVD of his points runs, which I thought was fascinating. Some bookies are offering 50-1 on the Grand National for Sonasasta, and I think would have a big chance in that race.
Well, one of the big rivals that Hayden mentioned there was Neptune Equesta, much of his market position perhaps resting on an emphatic victory at Haydock Park.
Neptune Equesta bearing down on Morning Moment, and Neptune Equesta at the end of 3.5 miles getting on top. Neptune Equesta, Morning Moment went down on his sword.
That was a good day for him, Noel, but his running the Roland Merrick Chase at Wetherby has to go down as something of a disappointment.
Yes, he's a horse that stays all day, but as you say, a disappointing run at Wetherby. But he did impress at Haydock, and to be fair, the Wetherby effort was his only poor run on his last 6 outings, so I think you can forgive a horse one poor effort.
We've spoken about the main protagonist from a punting perspective. John, are there any others that are worthy of mentioning?
Hello Bud for Nigel Twiston-Davis. He's got the class to win this sort of race and will absolutely stay all day, and is versatile ground-wise, so that's got to be a positive for Hello Bud. I actually think there's one with a good each-way chance in Freddo from Ian Williams' setup. The yard are in cracking form at the moment. Now the horse is £2 below its last winning mark, but that's discounted by being out of the handicap. There are a couple of question marks about the trip for Freddo as well, but I think off this low weight Freddo could run a decent race. And Charlie Longston's Strongbow's Legend is well thought of, but does need a bit of a step up in ability. But for win purposes, I'm going to stick with David Pipe's Sonasasta.
John's mentioned Strongbow's Legend there. I think this one has an excellent chance. It was up £13 after cruising home at Hereford, and then was going really nicely when falling at Plumpton last time out. If none the worse for that demise there, must have a great chance at the weights.
This
is Sky Sports News
Radio.
Cheers for that. More from Noel and John a little later as we preview the Lanzarote Hurdle at Kempton. But before we do that, let's take a walk on the road to Cheltenham. Sizing Europe and Big Zeb, the current and the former Queen Mother Champion Chase champions, are set to meet up again in the Tide Cottage at Punchestown. Trainer Colin Murphy is hopeful of turning the tables and expects a big run from his veteran.
Yes, it's our systems going in for Tide Cottage in Punchestown. He seems to be in better order this year for some reason. Physically, coat looks an awful lot better. It looks an awful richer. Definitely, health-wise, he seems to be a healthier horse.
Alberta's Run heads the list of declarations for the Ryanair, where he could meet up with his old adversary, Poquelin.
Alberta's Run wins for the 3rd time at the Cheltenham Festival.
Also set for the Ryanair are Kalahari King and No Mead stable star Real Dub, who's ready to return from injury.
Because he was such a good horse, I didn't want to take any chances with it, so we gave him a complete month off and then started very slowly with him, but he's back in full work, and I would hope he'd run probably mid-February, and we hope that he will go to Cheltenham.
Henry de Bromhead has confirmed that Sizing Australia will head back to Prestbury Park to defend his crown in the cross-country.
Unfortunately, he got a setback there last September, so we had to back off him, so we couldn't get him ready for either of the autumn/winter cross-countries at Cheltenham. He'll be going straight to the cross-country off a couple of hurdle runs.
Whilst reigning champion hurdler Hurricane Fly is set to reappear later in the month after pleasing Willie Mullins, and the Irish champion hurdle is his intended target.
Sky Sports News Radio.
The Lanzarote Hurdle is the highlight of Kempton's card, and this handicap is as competitive as ever. Among its winners in the past have included Make a Stand, who went on to win the champion hurdle at Cheltenham some 14 months later, while Egypt Mill Prince and Tuichev went on to become spectacular chasers in their day. Unsurprisingly, a full accompaniment of entries has been received, and amongst them is Featherbed Lane, who is 2 from 2 this season.
Featherbed Lane is coming right away to make it 2 out of 2 since joining Philip Hobbs in the colours of Terry Warner and the hands of Tom O'Brien. Reindeer Dipping in second place. They finished well strung out.
Noel, he's looked impressive in his 2 victories this term, and he's owned by Terry Warner, who certainly knows a thing or two about owning decent hurdlers.
Yeah, he's won some good races in the past, and usually the money is down. This one is progressing well. The form of his Aintree success has been let down by Reindeer Dipping, who finished second, but he did win with plenty of ease, and the £7 claimer will certainly counteract the rise in the weights.
Richard Newland only has a small string of performers in training, but the general practitioner has solid claims of landing this prize courtesy of Active Calanese. He was last seen out when finishing 6th in the Ladbroke Handicap.
He's come out of the race really, really well. I mean, he actually had some slight setbacks prior to that race. So I was really pleased with that run. Since then, he's been 100%. He's bouncing.
It is a competitive race at Kempton, so you must have been delighted to have got Barry Geraghty booked for the ride.
Yeah, that's a great bonus. Richard Johnson, his normal rider, I think, was required to ride for Tim Vaughan, who's he has a regular relationship with, which I totally understand. So we were looking to get a top jock, and delighted to have Barry.
He stayed 2 miles on the flat. You're stepping up to 2 miles 5.
Yeah, all things being equal, you'd like to think it would help him, wouldn't you? He's just was done for a bit of toe in the 2 mile race in the Ladbroke. This should suit him, and I think the good ground should suit him as well. So, hopefully he should go really, really well.
John, he's yet to trouble the judges' season, but that booking of Barry Geraghty is certainly interesting.
Yeah, the booking of Barry Geraghty is absolutely fascinating, and so's the trip. The horse has been running well over distances that look too short in recent starts. This is the former Mark Johnston inmate on the flat. I think is on a fair mark. I think the horse might just prefer a little bit of rain, but I think Active Calanese should run well.
We mentioned David Pipe in the preamble. He's responsible for Decoy, and he's stepping back in trip to a distance he won over at Cheltenham.
But Decoy will hang on just from semicolon. And back in third, Kells Bell, who stayed on really dirly. A bit of a gap then to George and King in fourth. Trio Royale Sai.
Noel, he does have to reverse form with Featherbed Lane on their latest meeting.
Yes, Ian, it is Stone better off on official ratings, and, well, you would think that would be enough to reverse the form, beaten just over 2 lengths, and the trip does look ideal as well. However, Featherbed Lane may also have improved for the step-up in trip last time, so it's no certainty that he will reverse the form.
Well, Nick Williams won the race last year of James Devassi. This year he's hoping that Swinkum Flame can repeat the dose.
She's up and over the last safely. She gave it plenty of daylight, and she's going to get off the mark over hurdles without any effort at all, making every yard of the running.
John, it's not so much men against boys, but ladies taking on gentlemen, and the vibes seem to have been positive.
Yes, Swinkum Flame's been about for money this week. This mare's 4 from 5 under rules, and it's a handicap debut. They've got Will Kennedy up on board to do the steering. I'm not sure she's beaten all that much so far, though, Swinkum Flame, and that's why I've got a concern about this one.
Yeah, actually, John, Swinkum Flame is the one that I'm going to go for. One with plenty in hand on Boxing Day, beating a rival rate at 119. Gets in here on a mark of 123, so I think it may have been underestimated by the handicapper.
Well, for my selection, Noel, I'm going to go with a couple in this race. I'm going to sort of chicken out a little bit. I find it very difficult to pick the winner of this one. I'm not usually a fence sitter, so I'm going to take a Dutch tactic in the contest. I'm going to go Colin Tizard's Ohio Gold. First started in a handicap, but the trip and ground should suit, and the horse is in great form. It's nice to see Brendan Powell, the junior version, keeping the ride. And Emma Lavelle, she's got well regarded. Now, this one was 4th to Fingal Bay. That form looks very solid. The 1st, 2nd, 5th and 6th have all gone on to win since, and there's plenty to like about that horse now stepped back up in trip.
Sky Sports News
Radio.
Well, there we are. Plenty of food for thought ahead of this weekend's actions. Thanks for joining me, lads, and thank you at home for listening. We will be back with you next week on Blazing Saddles, where we'll be taking a check on the chasers. The Victor Chandler Chase at Ascot is the highlight, and we'll also be heading to Haydock Park for the Peter Marsh.